Shinkensou here, bringing you guys a new video. This is something that's been requested from me for quite a while. As you guys know, I've been playing a lot of Streets of Rage 4. I've been speedrunning it, testing a lot of things out with the game, finding crazy combos. One thing that comes up a lot is a tier list. I have made tier lists on my stream. Previously, some of those thoughts have changed a lot since I've been playing a lot more, kind of learning more about the game and how the characters work. So let's see how the characters stack up, right? So as you guys know, obviously, without any thought, that Adam for the Streets of Rage 4 cast is by far the best character in this game. Adam literally does everything. Like, you need to hit someone and do big damage, he's your guy. You need someone to be speedy, he's your guy. He has just about everything you could possibly need for a character, Look at my notes here, the only detriment to him is just no OTG at the moment outside of his super, which is something that Blaze has and quite a few other characters have, but that's the one downside to him. So basically, when you land a hit on an enemy, you want to make sure you just KO. You one-touch them and they should go out. As everyone knows, he has an infinite. He can touch bosses and they're gone, with the exception of the Commissioner, which you can actually infinite him, but the problem with that is the other goons that come into the room just kind of mess that whole situation up, so you have to jab lock him, and that's that. His super is actually the strongest super in the game, damage-wise, which is quite interesting considering that Floyd's isn't anywhere near as strong as that one. That aside, he's got great AoE with his defensive special. It's just, I can't stress it enough, he's got the full kit. His charge attack is really great for grouping enemies. In fact, I'd go out on a limb and say he probably has the best charge attack in the game, just because it doesn't make the enemies fly away. It just makes them slide across the ground, and each slide damage is 6 HP. So if you group up an enemy, it's just bad. It's a bad time for them. It's a good time for the player because you get to clear out things a lot quicker. So nothing bad about him. There's nothing bad about him. He's a great speedrun character. He's a great casual character. You can do everything. Which, one thing I should mention really quickly before I move forward. Every character in this game is fun to play. Every character in this game has their place, but there are obviously characters that are stronger than others that can do things better for higher difficulties and even for co-op play. So with that being said, right now this is more so focused on solo. So that's that on Adam. Next up after that would be Blaze. Blaze is very similar to Adam, except for she lacks mobility. Now, obviously she doesn't have a dash or a run or anything like that, so she has her air special, which is her little lunge kick. You can use that, or dragon kick if you will. That is a decent way to travel at the expense of your HP. That's probably the only detriment to it. At higher difficulties, it's probably not as necessary, but it's a way to travel, Her defensive special is great. Her offensive special is really good. Swiss Army knife character again, Her infinite is actually a lot easier to get into than Adam. It's very, very flexible in that regard because almost anything gets it for her because she doesn't have to rely on the 3 wall bounce limit like Adam does. And with her blitz attack being an OTG attack, which is off the ground once again, that allows her to get into her infinite so much easier than Adam at almost all ranges, just about. Maybe not full screen, obviously. She does have ways to get the opponents and bosses and enemies to the corner in order to get to that. But with that being said, yeah, she has it all. So if you want another character that's just as flexible as Adam, if you don't want to play Adam, I would say Blaze is a great pick for that. From there, moving forward, we got Floyd. Floyd is another popular character right now. And Floyd, he's essentially the new Max. For a lot of those people that love Streets of Rage 2, he's another powerhouse, He does have mobility with his air special, the little pogo, that does allow him to move across stages a little bit quicker, obviously at the expense of his HP. His damage output is definitely the highest of the Streets of Rage 4 characters, with Adam following second and Blaze third. Um, he's great for speedrunning. He's great for high difficulties of play. He's great for co-op. He has an amazing super. His defensive special also functions as an OTG. On top of just having just massive range of just safety, you know. So he's definitely allowed to do quite a lot with his specials, including his offensive special, which is his gotcha grab, which leads to all his big combos that leads to everything that kills bosses. Like, it's insane. And one of the greatest things about Floyd is his grab, right? His normal grab allows him to walk with enemies, and he can basically throw them at him, you know, or throw them in pits or what have you. So it makes for whenever he just needs to clean up something, maybe go for a gotcha grab or just walk up and grab the enemy, and boom, they're out. Just like that. If you don't combo them, you just throw them out of a pit or off of a ledge, what have you, you know. It's almost amazing how well they designed him. On top of that, his player base is huge. So many people are like speedrunning with him, so many people are playing him on Twitch and stuff like that. So the only downside to Floyd is just he's slow, but that's typical of a, you know, a big body character in a beat 'em up. Another F3 character coming from the Streets of Rage 3 cast would be Shiva. I played Shiva for literally less than a day and was like, this character is insane. Like, there's things he can't do, like pick up items, but it doesn't matter because his damage output is insane. OTG Final Crash is insane. Super Final Crash, while it's not that great, I'd say that's probably one of his downsides. Even though his super isn't that great, it still dishes out a lot of damage, and it OTGs, which is great for him. His defensive special does a buttload of damage. His blitz attack, or his dash attack, the reverse axe kick, that thing does insane amounts of damage. Like, he's one of the best speedrun characters. You know, he's just so fast. And he deletes things so quickly. And he's a character that doesn't have like a long loop like Floyd or Infinite like Blaze or Adam, but he can just melt things pretty quickly. He's a great pick. All difficulties of play, you know. If you intend to speedrun the game and you want a character that's just gonna melt things, that's him. Yeah, he's great for solo play, great for team play, great for Mania, like I said. Great character, all around. So now we have another character hailing in the S tiers from the Streets of Rage 3 cast, which is Skate 3. He's got so much going for him. He is a little bit slower than Skate 2, which I'll get to in a bit, but his auto combo does great damage. His dash attack or blitz attack, that's where he shines. That move does insane amounts of damage. He can wave clear like no other. His throw is really good in conjunction with the flying headbutt or the dash attack or blitz attack, whatever you guys want to call it. For this, I'll swap in between dash attack and blitz attack here. But it literally just melts things. Like he's like another Shiva, just a little bit slower. He only has one major flaw, and that's Donovan's. So if you dash attack a little too far out, you will get uppercut, or the Dylans, or the Kevins, or the Francis's, you know, pockets. The guys that have their hands in the pockets, those guys can be a problem if you do your blitz attack too far away, and they will pop you for that, or you didn't hit them in the group, they will definitely hit you. He has a great defensive special, and one thing that's very unique to the Streets of Rage 3 characters is their ground roll. When you press down, down, or up, up, those rolls can be canceled into special moves. So offensive special, defensive special, and blitz attack can all be canceled from that roll. So for Skate, whenever he's in trouble, he can just hit down, down, special, and he'll be rolling downwards with the defensive special. So any enemies that are in that lane as he's coming down will get hit. Any enemies that are following him, they will also get hit. Same thing for his offensive special. So if you need to roll out of the way and be like, okay, I'm going to offensive special and catch these guys, boom, you can do that too. His dash attack does work, or blitz attack, it does work off of that. It doesn't let Skate move forward. It actually retains him staying in place because it holds the properties of the roll. There are some unique combos that are there for that, but it's not a necessity. Just know that you can do it and it just looks cool. It's more of a showboat type thing. With that being said, his super is actually extremely good. It's extremely good because it's very similar to Cherry in the sense that he'll tuck and roll and then drag the enemy across the screen. So essentially, Skate 3 can actually 2 to 3 shot a boss if he has enough stars. Because you can keep picking them up with the OTG since it drags them out of the corner and you can put them back into the corner, does great damage. End of the day, doesn't have to keep doing that, but regardless, he has that as an option, right? So Skate 3 he's another Shiva. He's one of the characters that I feel surprised me at actually how good he was. So, and I knew that both skates were good, but I needed to see the distinct difference, and Skate 3 definitely edges out over Skate 2 for damn sure. So with that being said, that pretty much rounds out the S tiers. All these characters are great at higher difficulties of play. They're great at wave clearing. They're great at just everything that you want out of a good character to play higher difficulties in this game. Now on to the A tiers. So A tier out the gate is Cherry. I've been playing a lot of Cherry recently on stream, and I figured out a lot about her on top of talking with other players who do use her. Cherry is difficult. She doesn't outright make sense when you pick her up, but with enough playtime, you understand like what she's supposed to do and the spacings you need to be. Because one thing about Cherry is a lot of her stuff is kind of spacing reliant, especially when dealing with bosses. Because her wall bounce game is kind of difficult to utilize at all times. But when you do understand how to utilize it, then you can deal with bosses and get her blitz loops, which she does have blitz loops, which are really neat. Her mobility, I think, is by far the best in the game. Having the ability to pogo off enemies, very similar to Floyd with her jump down attack. It allows her to pogo off enemies at the cost of no HP, which is nice. Basically keeps her mobile. Like, Cherry, basically in a sense, Cherry is a character that lets you freestyle. Like, you can, if you're really good at the game and you understand Cherry and you understand the difficulties and where enemies are going to be and how enemies respond, or have a good understanding of that, Cherry allows you to freestyle on the enemies and just have like a big, like you just have a bonanza playing this character, She also has a very similar problem like Skates, where Donovans can be an issue, but I would say more so the Dylans, the Kevins, the Francises, pocket guys with pockets, they can be a little bit more problematic than them, than the Donovans, just because of how their anti-air works and where they hit you. She does have some issues with that, especially when she does her grab mount. Those guys, if they're close to you, they will reach you. Where Donovan's uppercuts don't reach as far, the Dylans and pocket dudes, they will reach you from the ranges where Donovan's will not, because they extend with their legs, so they'll definitely hit you. I do feel like her damage output's still a little bit low on the lower side of some of the better characters, but I think that her mobility makes up for her low damage, which is nice. She does still have a couple flaws in her game, but more so of a programming issue. So like sometimes her back throw can be problematic, where you'll back throw someone in there at the edge of the screen, but it doesn't throw them. The enemy just stays there, just stunned, and then Cherry's kind of left open. She does still retain her iframes, but that can still be problematic in situations where you just need to get rid of this enemy before you get hit. A small issue with her, and I think this is more of a player flaw than it is a character flaw, is that her blitz attack can get you kind of killed in some cases. Some of her kit leaves her open to taking damage or just falling off of a pit or a cliff or what have you. So you kind of have to be really good at managing and paying attention to your screens. Decent crowd control, her specials are good. Her specials are really good. Her defensive special is very similar to Floyd. The whole rock on type deal. She gets the waves that hit on the left and right hand sides, which is nice. It also starts up really fast and helps her get into her blitz loops. Her forward special on the ground, I think, has a little too much recovery, but it is great because it is one of her 3 OTGs that she has, which is ground special, her air special, which is similar to her forward special, has a little less recovery, and her super. Her super is no different than Skate, where it drags them across the screen, so it helps her out a lot in that regard. So yeah, it's really, really good for her. She's basically, like, if you want a character where you can kind of feel yourself while you're playing and just go nuts, she's your pick. She's great on all difficulties of play, and I would go out on a limb and say she's super good in co-op play. Another one of the A tiers, hailing from Streets of Rage 3. Once again, that would be Blaze 3. Blaze 3 essentially has more mobility than Blaze 4, obviously. Because Streets of Rage 3 character, she gets to run, she gets to roll cancels. Roll cancel specials are really good. Her offensive special is probably the biggest thing about her, I feel, that shines really, really heavily in conjunction with her blitz. So when she uses her blitz attack, the second that she lands, she can go straight into her offensive special, and it's super good when dealing with large crowds. That fireball is really, really, really good, and it's multiple times, causes knockdowns. It's great. She does have some pretty neat stuff with dash reverse offensive special, which allows her to dash forward, and then basically you can backdash, cancel it, and pop it with it while sliding backwards. It's another one of those swag tricks that are in the game. It is really useful for her in terms of keeping enemies in the same spot. So if you're at the wall and you need to like run and get past them, you can always run and then reverse special, and boom, they're back on that side of the screen. You don't have to stress out about it. You got yourself out of the corner, etc., etc. Her throws are really good. She has pretty damn good crowd control, I'm not gonna lie. She's really good crowd control. She lacks like major, like big combos like skate. Yeah, she's a very flexible pick, She's great for all difficulties. I think she's good for co-op play as well. Yeah. Great character. Let's grab another character. That character, Skate 2. Skate 2, there's really not much to say about this guy. He does the exact same thing as Skate 3, with the exception of his super isn't as good. It's great for crowd control, but that's about it. It does have long recovery. It leaves him in kind of a bad spot. So if you didn't hit an enemy, you might be in trouble. He is actually faster than Skate 3. His run speed is actually faster than Skate 3. He lacks the roll cancel. Basically, just anything that you would get from Skate 3, might as well go that route. Skate 2 is just if you really like Streets of Rage 2 and you really like Streets of Rage 2, you just kind of pick him. His blitz attack actually does a lot less damage than Skate 3. So that's like the biggest difference between these two. So one's faster and does a little less damage. The other one is slightly slower and does way more damage. It's really not much to say about Skate 2, but he is up there. Like I said, if you like Skate 2, pick Skate 3. If you like Skate 2 just to rekindle Streets of Rage 2, then yeah, stick with him. With that being said, I have another character coming in from Streets of Rage 3, which would be Axel. This one took me a lot of time to really evaluate him, because in a sense he's kind of like a B+ to a rough mid-tier character, but he is the strongest of the Axels, in my honest opinion. He does have a run. It's slow as hell, but he's got a run. He has a way to keep up with enemies. I think he's the actually slowest character of the Streets of Rage 3 character, to be honest. But with that, he does have a good grand upper. It's not the best of the Axels, but he does have a really good grand upper. Which is his blitz attack, if you will. His defensive special is, it's great. It is what Axel 4's should be. His offensive special is also what Axel 4 should be. He does sport invincibility frames on his offensive special, which is really good for him. It would be nice if Axel 4 had that, but Axel 3 has it. However, the only detriment to his offensive special is that when it's over, he can still be hit. So once he's done with the Shoryu, when he's on his way down, he can still be hit. So you have to be really careful with how you use it at higher difficulties. But the good thing is, at the very least, before he leaves the ground, he has iframe. That's the biggest difference, right? With that being said, his throws are really good for crowd control as well, and that's true for pretty much every Axel. He doesn't have an OTG. His super is actually really good, surprisingly. It has great corner carry, which is nice for him. It also lets him get to the wall, so it allows him to get his wall bounces and do some pretty good damage. A big trait that is shared between all the Axels is that they are boss killers strictly because of the offensive special. But this one in particular is the best at it strictly because he has the iframes. I think this is pretty much the shining point of Axel 3 is the fact that he has iframes on the Floyd special. If he didn't have that, he'd probably be down in the B tier. But because he has that and his super is really good, I think it kind of like allows him to sit up here in the A's. So that'll be why I have him up here. Now there is one character in this A tier that is left. He's a sleeper, and I think that when more people play him, he might move up to the S tier. But I think there is a detriment. And that character from Streets of Rage 3, Dr. Zan. Dr. Zan is so good. He's so good. His forward special is extremely damaging. His defensive special is extremely damaging. In fact, you can just call him special move the character. His specials are literally where he shines, and it's by far, man, I can't stress enough how much damage this guy can do. He dishes out a lot of damage. Forward special is going to be the one special you use a lot when playing him, because that's where a lot of your damage comes from. So you can land your auto combo, go into that, and then go into your blitz attack. His blitz attack doesn't do that much damage, right? But the fact that it knocks down and it allows him to recover his health is really good. So basically the biggest thing with Dr. Zan is essentially special usage is going to be a big thing, and you have to maintain your health. So as you know, the thing in Streets of Rage 4 is health is a resource, right? So you'll be using your special moves by way of, dishing out the damage. If it wasn't for the health maintenance, he'd probably be an S tier character. He does have some detriments, and his throw game is actually extremely, well, simply put, it's not good. It's pretty bad. His throws are not super great for crowd control, but they do have the thing that everyone needs in Streets of Rage is in invul frames to get away from things. So that's a big part of where his thing shines, but without that con, it's gotta have some good pros, right? So one of the major good pros, other than the specials, is his item usage is unique to every other character in the game. When he picks up an item, he turns it into an energy ball, which does a massive amount of damage when you throw it. But the caveat to that is you don't have to throw it immediately like everyone else does, or use it like everyone else does. In fact, you still get the ability to use your auto combo, which is what makes Dr. Zan amazing. So picking up items with him is actually a lot better than most characters. Where you wouldn't pick up a pipe, you'd pick up a pipe with that guy because it's going to turn into an energy ball. Now, of course, if you use the vials of poison and electricity, yeah, you still get those properties. But if you're using an actual weapon, he gains that. And each one of those, I think, do like 50 damage per use. So it's like, and of course, you get one, but the fact that you get to hold on to it while fighting bosses, if you get hit, you lose it. But I mean, that's the thing, don't try not to get hit. So it's a great way to end your combos. It's a great way to, just get rid of enemies that are on screen. It's just super good. There's no downside to it. So with Dr. Zan, you'll be using a lot of items. As I said before, if it wasn't for his HP usage, I think he'd be an S tier character, but I think he's definitely being slept on. I think he's a great speedrun character and he's just great. Like, I can't say anything else. He's great. So he's my sleeper pick. And now we're going to move to the mid tiers. Mid tier, I'm just going to be up front. Some people are not going to like this, but this right here there's not much to say about these characters. The Streets of Rage 1 roster pretty much hails in the mid tier. I know to some degree people will argue this. It's definitely debatable. I understand why people would say, why this? Why are these guys here? They don't do anything special. Well, you're right, they don't. But all three of them have by far one of the most damaging star supers in the game. And it is the cop car. The cop call assist is like, it's so damaging, it wipes out enemies. You can touch the last boss one time with that, 2 times. You can two-shot him with that. I know that that's probably one of the crowning things of these characters, is the fact that they can literally two-shot the final boss. So if they're on the spider tank, it does not matter. It's just... With that being said, the retro characters all come with big damage because they don't have anything special. They don't get to play Streets of Rage 4. You know, they're still playing Streets of Rage 1. The only Streets of Rage 4 thing that they get to do is use their Star Super to cancel out whatever animation they were in and try to get into something else. That's as good as it gets, right? So they get wave clear, they get big damage, and they have more range than they did in their own game just because their sprites are a lot larger. It's just, the difference in them is speed. Their damage output's roughly the same. It's all pretty close. So with that being said, their auto combos just do so much damage. Like these characters can deal with Mania, and they have a lot more range, like I said before, because their sprites are a lot larger. The other character that hails in this tier is Max. Max still isn't Streets of Rage 2 Max. I know that a lot of people, especially speedrunners who played him and speedrun with him, kind of disappointed in him, and I see why. But I still think he's about here. His slide mobility isn't as good as it used to be, but he has insane amounts of damage. His damage output is literally the one shining and defining point of this character. Some things have a little bit to desire, like for example his backbreaker throw, where you get behind him and you jump and the little knee bash or whatever. That used to do a lot more damage in Streets of Rage 2. I know a lot of Max players are probably like, man, where's my damage? And I totally get it. It's still great for crowds, but it's hard to land that. And also that move has a lot of recovery in comparison to Streets of Rage 2. However, when you do grab them and you do the jump forward grab, that has a lot less recovery, way less recovery in fact, and it still gives him a decent amount of crowd control, which is nice. His defensive special seems about the same. His offensive special, that thing, like I feel like they buffed it from Streets of Rage 2. Like it's got so many hits attached to it and does a damn good amount of damage. His super is okay. It's not amazing, I think it's okay. It's meant for crowd control, so whenever you're fighting a boss and there's like goons in the room, you know, you can just super the boss. It's basically like a giant swing. So you grab them, giant swing, and then you hit the other enemies around and probably kill them and do damage to the boss at the same time. So he feels like he's more so meant for co-op play than he is solo. Now that doesn't mean he can't solo. Obviously everyone can solo, but it just feels with that super in particular like it's probably meant to clear out and allow you to do a little bit more with your partner and or kill a boss. Other than that, I don't think he's terrible. I think he's still good for higher difficulties just because his damage output's nice. But it will definitely be a struggle. Now, I'm going to get into the C and D tiers. And let us go with everyone's favorite character, Axel. Axel has been dubbed by many the worst character in the game. I do not think that he is the worst character in the game. I think he's the worst of the Streets of Rage 4 characters, for certain, at this current time. Because there are plans for DLC, and who knows, they might be buffing things and changing things. But as of right now, this Axel has a lot of flaws, and all the Axels have the exact same flaw, which is recovery, right? So Axel's forward special is really, really bad on Axel 4. Axel 3 has the iframes, Axel 4 does not. Grand Upper has so much, it's just recovery for days. Like, every one of his good moves, they just have so much recovery. It seems more like they kind of made him and maybe forgot about coming back to him. Maybe they thought he was fine, like animation wise. A lot of his stuff requires mad screen spacing. Like, you have to be really smart about. There's so much little nuanced things you have to be good at with him in order to make him work, right? On top of his walk speed being slow, no movement option. It's sad to say that in some cases his damage seems low, but when you know what to do, you can actually dish out a lot of damage, especially close to the wall. So it's kind of a mixed bag when it comes to his damage. But definitely, I think by unanimous, I think everyone just knows that his recoveries are just really bad, and it doesn't really bode well for him at higher difficulties. Does that mean he can't do higher difficulties? No, he can't. But you have to play the most basic game of your life, or rather just play this survival game with Axel. But again, like all the Axels, good boss killer. He does have a new infinite now. He does have a wall infinite just like Adam. It is good. It's not too terribly hard to set up. It does require a little bit of spacing, but it doesn't seem like it's too difficult to get that right spacing, to be honest. He has so many inescapable situations which kind of make him down here. The good side to him that I think a lot of people are not acknowledging is that he gets to play Streets of Rage 4. Like, by that I mean he can cancel his blitz into special moves, which only the 4 characters can do, right? And his Star Super, despite the damage not being remotely good, it allows him to set up his infinite, and that, in my honest opinion, is what has me having him here. Other than that, he is not the worst character in the game. There are 2 characters here on the screen still. So, in the C tier also, there's one other character, and it is this guy, Axel 2. Axel 2 lacks mobility, just like Axel 4 and Axel 1. But luckily for him, at least he still has a good grand upper for his blitz attack. His defensive special is still good, but his offensive special gets him killed, just like Axel 4. And it sucks. He's basically another Axel 4, just he can't play Streets of Rage 4. His super is okay, but you're not, it's just okay. It OTGs, that's the one good thing, but he's still not that great. Honestly, anything you could do with him, just play 4 at that stage. Because at least you get to play Streets of Rage 4 and have access to a better super. So, with that being said, Blaze 2 is, in my honest opinion, the absolute worst character in this game. She only really gains one thing, and she has by far the most damaging super of all the Streets of Rage 2 characters. But that's it. Her defensive special is whatever, her offensive special is pretty blah. In fact, if you hit certain enemies, if they're grouped together, only the guy who's in front will get knocked down, the others just kind of get stunned. So it's like, what the hell's the point of this move? It doesn't really do much. You know, like, hello? At least she has a better super than Blaze 3. I guess, because Blaze 3 super is not that great. It's actually not that good at all. But everything that Blaze 2 has is just, there's just literally no point to playing her. You know, almost in a sense, we could put Axel 2 down here, and these two are essentially the worst characters in the game. They don't really offer much, you know? But after a lot of close evaluation, basically Axel 2 and Axel 4 are pretty equal. But you can't play Streets of Rage 4. You know? So this is pretty much it. Everyone in the S tiers, they're just good at the game. Like, they offer so much for the player. You know? And again, just to throw it out there, just because this is a tier list about what's good in the game, it doesn't mean you can't pick any one of these characters and still have a good time. It's gonna be difficult, yes, and that's part of playing video games, you know, you gotta have a challenge, right? But just know that this is pretty much it as far as I'm concerned for right now until they patch the game. So your boy Shinkensou gonna sign out for now. Hope you guys enjoyed. Catch you in the next video. Peace.